Hello viewers, Super GT here, welcome back. Okay, so this is the next round of the Manufacturers Championship. So last video we were at Lago Maggiore in Group 3 and we had a rather good run out there, finishing the race in second after leading for some of it towards the end. So a disappointing end to go down to second, but it was still a very good run. That was in Group 3. Here we are, round number 2. And we are in the Group 4 Mclaren 650S. So, here we are, Alsace. Weird circuit this in France. Not a real circuit, but it's still weird. And it's been a long time since we've come here. So there's plenty of learning to be done. You may well have seen the video around Mount Panorama, which was this week. And, well, given the way that FIA works now, normally in the first race you're doing a lot of the learning and then you get the better scores later on. I think that's probably going to be the case again here. So the qualifying didn't go too well, as you can see there, 16th on the grid. As I turn into this one, I wasn't quite aware of someone on my inside, so I've turned in, I've received contact, and it was clear that there was someone there, obviously not quite noticing in time, and the Aston Martin lurking low the rear end. As we go into this large banked corner, receive a big handful of further contact and we are onto the grass. Going down to 20th out of 20. This is literally the lowest of the low for me. Later on in the race, going into the pits, changing our tyres, going for the one-stop strategy, soft tyres, and eventually we come out still in last place. You can see a 20th out of 20. Not good at all. In fact, this is the end here. We've got to 18th, courtesy of a couple of people pitting a little bit differently. Looking up the inside for 17th, I mean, this is as bad as it gets, really. And there's a lot of learning to be done as we come up to cross the line. So there we go, finishing at 18th. Awful result, which was really disappointing given how good I did in the Group 3 race with McLaren. So the McLaren train, the McLaren hype train has been slightly derailed. 200 points there, barely anything. The good thing, you see the guy in 5th there, driving the 650S. So we have a fellow McLaren user. So I thought I'd save the replay and study what the hell he was doing better. So we're on board here with the Swedish driver Swoil. So it's always good when there's someone in the same manufacturer, in the same race. You can go on board with them in the replay and kind of watch what they're doing. And the first thing I notice here is through this corner here, just taking a much better line. So he kind of turns in a lot later and uses the absolute most of the banking to really help him round. A little bit later on, he's actually caught up with the top 3. Such is the pace of this McLaren, or the way that he's driving at least, he actually received a fair handful of contact, just like I did in a way. Although, I think in my case I didn't really leave the guy too much space, it must be said. And you can compare the tyre wear, so if I flick between the two of us, my tyre wear was way worse compared to here. So definitely I was overdriving the car, not really, you know, keeping the tyres in mind, just really overdriving way too much. So that's something I've got to bear in mind here for the second time around. So as long as you learn from your crappy driving, which I was pretty much doing in that whole first race, I was driving awfully. As long as you can learn from that, then good stuff. So this time around, we start again, we go for the second time. Starting 10th, so qualifying was a little bit better. Started 16th last time, and it wasn't too great. So 10th this time around, in the middle of the pack. Let's see if we can have a better race here. I mean, it couldn't really go much worse than the last one, if we're completely honest. So just really trying to adjust to this circuit. It's a weird circuit, and it's one that you can really easily push too hard around because there's lots of really long corners, especially sort of in the second half of the circuit. Well, I mean, just kind of the whole circuit is just loaded with long corners, really. So there is a way to kind of drive the circuit without killing and murdering your tyres. So we're going to try to do that here. So coming up in towards the banked corner, as we saw the Swedish driver do, you can see turning in a little bit later and just hooking up with that, getting a little bit closer to that curve, much closer than I was getting on any of the laps in the previous race. So that's an encouraging sign so far. I didn't have the best of starts here. You can see that I quite immediately dropped off the back of 9th position, but only now just beginning to recover that. Of course, such as the gaps at the start of the FIA races, given that you're doing rolling starts, it always does spread out quite a bit, but finally already going for that first overtake. The Audi slightly wide onto the grass. Is he going to back out coming into this right hand? I think he is. Of course, it can be quite hard to tell in hood view. You do have to rely on the radar quite a bit. This time he does bail out. Up into 9th position. And just hooking up with the apex is a lot nicer than it was in the previous race. And you know what, McLaren, not too bad actually. I mean, they've never been the strongest. Not many people really have chosen them, but I think Lightning has showed that it can be a quick car. I mean, he's currently, I think, 1st or 2nd. I think going into this round he was 1st for manufacturers. So I mean, McLaren definitely up there if you just drive well, basically. So a lot of it is down to the driver at least, even though the cars are definitely different. We crossed the line at the beginning, or at the end of lap 1, beginning of lap number 2, gaining 1 position on that first lap. 9 laps in total, so of course varying pit strategies here. I don't think it's really possible to do a no-stop. The tyre wear is just too high around here, such as the nature of the circuit, really long corners, high abrasion. So your tyres are probably not going to last the entire race, but you can of course come in at the end of lap 4 or the end of lap 5, and that remains to be seen exactly what we're going to go for. So as we come up towards the banked turn, you can see just up ahead is quite a big close-knit group, and the top 2 have pulled away, but from 3rd to 8th there, just in front, fairly close-knit group, and that's good, encouraging signs, as I do believe we are slowly reeling this group in. And that's the thing, there is a group here. I don't need to push too hard, just like drive the car nicely, preserve those tyres, play the longer game, and make sure that we are in a good position later on in the race. It's very easy, it's very tempting, when you've got all the grip there, just to really go hell for leather, really just go for it, push into all the turns, and then just completely demolish your tyres. I think here just taking a slightly more patient and intelligent approach, you could say. So you can see the group really opening up, just in front, slowly finding our way onto the back of them. Not quite at this point, still almost, I'd say just about within slipstream range, borderline slipstream range at this point here. At the same time, the Audi's still behind, so I've still got to keep it all together here, otherwise we could easily lose positions. As we come down towards the final turn, and seeking our braking point, and my braking point is literally the side of this guy. And well, yeah, not a good piece of driving there into the side of him, but luckily he recovers. Doesn't seem to lose too much time actually. So good stuff there overall. Didn't get a penalty luckily as well. And we come up into first little chicane here, over to the right hand side, so you can get a full speed run for this left-hander. The Audi up ahead, I think, edged out to the edge of the circuit. You see there's losing tons of positions up the hill. Really not the position you want to be losing lots of momentum. Not the place to do that. So then you're going to be struggling all the way up that hill. So he's going to go down multitudes of positions, and his loss is my gain, up 1 position, up into 8th. So that's 2 Audis so far, which have made mistakes of some sort, or some errors, have gained 2 positions. So nice little thank you there. As I go into the back of him half of that turn, I kind of didn't really expect him to slow down as much as he did, but that's the way it was. We continue though through the banked turn. You see here everyone taking a slightly wider line as the tyres begin to wear out slightly, although keeping it nice and tight on the exit. So definite potential in this race to gain some positions as the GTR driver drives a little bit wide. Up the inside on the way out, up into 7th. So good progress being shown here. This is encouraging. And I suppose the main thing that could really be our downfall is the tyre wear. So at this point here, tyre wear not too bad, as the Mercedes and the Porsche getting into some combat there. The Mercedes driver coming out on top into 5th, behind the Jaguar driver there on 4th. He's coming into this next left-hander. I don't know the turn numbers here, so I'm just going to call it the left-hander. As we then come up towards this gentle right, up towards the final turn, firmly in the slipstream of the Cayman up ahead. Going to put out to the left hand side to give us the inside line for the final corner. It looks like we can get this move done. Not quite. He's up the inside. He's gone for a big lunge. I think the Mercedes driver's seen that coming and let him go across. The Jaguar drive just pulls over to the left-hand side last minute, gets in the way of the Mercedes, kills his momentum. I'm up the outside then, and the Porsche there has gone from potentially going down to 7th to now being 3rd, and I could have dropped right down as well, but I'm now into 4th. So these are the things that kind of, in some races, you know, that could have gone your way, sometimes it might not. So right this moment here, getting a bit of the luck, which sometimes eludes me, but then sometimes you do get it, sometimes you don't. That is motor racing, I suppose. So up into 4th on lap 4. Top 2, you can see him just around the corner there. A good 5, 6, or 7 seconds ahead now. So they've done really well to just really edge out and pull away from this group. It's going to be very difficult to reel them in here. The 3rd place is definitely on the cards. You can see there as we pan out to the replay angle just how close it is, this battle. I mean, if I lose 2 seconds worth of time, I'm down into maybe 10th position. So it is a very, very close race here. The Porsche seems on the back foot here as he goes slightly defensive into this turn to try to get into that slipstream on the way out. So just trying to take a nice gentle line through the turn to get a good exit. And you can see the momentum is going to carry me through onto the left-hand side, up the inside, getting the job done. Bit of a slide on the apex, but we get the job done. We go defensive here, I didn't get a good exit. So we have the Mercedes on our left-hand side as we come through the turn, and he's going to run, I would say run me quite fairly narrow, as I'm kind of having to go onto the grass. Then as a result, we have some contact, and he's wide onto the grass on the exit. Now this is something that happened in the Mount Panorama video as well, because sometimes it looks like the person on the inside is pushing the person on the outside out. But sometimes I do think that if you get squeezed onto the apex and you're all over the curb, all over the grass, sometimes it's just going to result in contact because you're just being forced too narrow and not leaving the space. But anyway, that's how that one happened. So going up into 2nd, as someone just went into the pit lane there, just coming out. So that's Doc Brown in the Corvette. So the top 2 were a good 7 seconds or so ahead. They've come in, well, Doc Brown has come in, just come out behind us here. So I know he's on fresh tyres, I'm on old tyres. I'm not really going to fight him too much. It's not really a winnable race against him. You know, I'm going to have to hold him off, and then I'm going to have to go in the pit lane anyway at the end of this lap. So he's definitely going to win out. So he's going to go up the inside. I was expecting that. There he goes. Not really going to fight that one too much. In the Corvette, there he goes, and he'll probably drive off into the distance with the fresh rubber. So I could have gone into the pits there at the end of lap 4. I decided to go for one more lap as I didn't want to come out in traffic. So I thought I'd go for the longer stint now and then the shorter one later. We'll see how that turns out at the end of the lap, I suppose. But this is the crucial lap, I think, of the race. This is where you can lose the most time. This is where I'm going to lose the most time because it's the lap in the race where I have the worst tyres. So I'm on the 5th lap of the stint. So at the end of the race, on lap 9, that will only be the 4th lap on that set of tyres. So this is going to be the hardest lap technically of the race. Just really have to keep it all together. And you can see the McLaren train is forming with myself at the front of it. So the Subaru and the Mercedes both trying to come back here for an assault. I'm going to go defensive, force them over to the outside, and slightly move back over to take the racing line. And it's not just the Subaru and the Mercedes, there is another group of 3 just behind. We've got the Nissan, and we've got an Audi, and I think it's the Jaguar. Was that? Just going to this left-hander. It was a Jaguar. And just look at that, 5 people, 5 guys. It's the founders of the Five Guys restaurant right behind me, looking like fresh meat at this point here. Let's come up towards the final turn. I'm not sure there's too much I can do about going defensive here. I don't want to fight it too much and lose too much time, but at the same time, okay, you can fight it. Is he going to go up the inside? I'm not sure. He is up on the inside. I'm going to have to pull over to the left-hand side, but the Nissan, oh god, that was a bit dodgy. Okay, well that was that could have gone worse, I suppose. Could have gone better. So I lost 2 positions there. The Subaru actually edged underneath me, so perhaps I should have taken the tighter line. And as a result of all of that, plus the fact that we was obviously on the older tyres when a lot of people pitted, we've gone down to 12th. So not ideal, but I do have 1 lap fresher tyres compared to the majority of these people here. So I suppose now I've rejoined the back of the train and we've got to fight our way back through the carriages to get to the front. So you can see here the gaps from the guys ahead. So you can see just how far ahead the likes of Gutierrez in the Porsche. We were battling with him on lap 4. And he's already opened up maybe 3 or 4 seconds. So it just shows you just how important that pit stop strategy is. And maybe pitting in lap 4 might have been the better option. But it remains to be seen. On the final lap of this race, a lot of these guys will be on very old tyres. I'll be on old, but not as old tyres. So things could go down right down to the wire. So you never give up. You always keep fighting right to the end. As we're going to try to dispatch of the Hyundai driver. As we come back through the pack here, we don't really want to lose too much time. Up the inside, let's get the job done early and try to pull away. So up the inside of the Hyundai driver. He doesn't really fight it, so good stuff. No time loss, or minimal time loss. We can turn our attention to catching up with the Jaguar driver up ahead, and maybe everyone else in front of that, or as many people in front of that as we can as well. So through this turn, so it's this kind of turn here, it goes really long corner. Very easy just to try and brake a little bit too late, and to try and force your car on the way. Just try and turn in too late, and you know, put too much energy into those front tyres. So I think that's the key thing here. I've actually, if anything, under-driving the car. In the first race I was over-driving the car, it just didn't work and the tyres were dying. They were really dying a horrible death. And the Jaguar pulls into the left-hand side. Thank you for the free slipstream, mate. And I think a couple of other people are in. And there comes the Nissan back up the pit lane. So back into 7th. Okay, so we were 12th when we came out of the pit lane. Now back into 7th, courtesy of a couple of people going in for later stops. So, can we go about gaining back a couple of positions? Because when we came in for the stop on lap 5, for the majority of lap 5 I was in 3rd. So I mean 3rd place is very good, and it is not too far away, I suppose. We've got 3 laps, or less than 3 laps now, to try to catch that group back up and make some inroads. So I think in the first stint was a good stint. Started mid-pack, started 10th, and made our way up to 3rd. So obviously that went well. We're going to skip a lap here. Lap 7, not too much happened. The gap got slightly smaller to the guys ahead. Maybe not enough though. And if anything, it definitely got smaller to the guy behind, the Nissan driver. So he goes up the inside. So my main priority here is just to try and catch up with that group ahead. So it'd be a silly decision, I think, to start fighting with this Nissan driver and start overtaking each other 10 times in a lap. We'd just lose out. Whereas we could both work together and catch up with that group. So he's already made a bit of a gap on me, so I made a bit of a mistake there. So unfortunately just dropping pretty much out of the slipstream range. And we're going to skip one more lap. You see exactly what's happened here, as the Nissan driver is on the back of that train. So it's a 5-car train. I'm hoping to make it a 6-car train as we come through into this right-hander here. So going in side by side, the Porsche driver and the Nissan driver. And just watch this, as we come through, I think the Nissan driver just edges the BMW out onto the barrier, spins himself out, and then the Porsche gets handed a 4-second penalty, even though I don't really think any of that was his fault. So that is the luckiest 2 seconds I think I've ever seen. Well, that's the luckiest 2 seconds I've had in a long time. So 2 drivers spin themselves out, and then the 3rd one gets a penalty, which I should be able to overtake him on this final lap here. You might have just noticed my fuel, I'm on 0% fuel. So I'm going to struggle here. I've whacked it up to 5 mixture, really lean. I'm just about going to get to the line, I hope. So there's no one right behind me. The Porsche got the penalty, can't serve it because he got it awarded a little bit too late. So we are going to actually move up into 5th position. That Cayman driver there with the 4-second penalty moves down to 10th when he was 5th. And I don't think that incident was really his fault, but that's the way it goes sometimes on Gran Turismo with a penalty system. So we emulated our fellow McLaren driver in the first race, who finished 5th, and I finished 5th in this one. So it shows you the stark improvement just by studying the replay and watching what a fellow driver does. There was just a massive improvement, just really, really good. And let's have a look at the rankings here then, because the main aim is just to try to finish as high up as we can in McLaren. So we were 6th going into the round, and we now come out in 4th. So we've moved up 2 positions, that's good stuff. And maybe let's try to move up a little bit further. The guy in 2nd was the guy who finished 5th in the first race, and you can see he's actually got a very good score. But that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I shall see you in the next one. Goodbye.